Hi, students. I just wanted to go over with you the difference between figurative language and literal language. Literal language, you take it exactly what it says. So if it said it's raining cats and dogs, literally puppies and kitties would be falling out of the sky. But figurative language are devices that authors use to paint a picture in the reader's mind, to have you have a better, deeper understanding of the text. So we're going to go over some of the different types of figurative language that we'll be using in class this year, and every year after this, you'll need to know what these are. So the first one is alliteration, a sentence or phrase with words that start with the same letter or sound. So remember, it's really the sound because some letters can make a different sound, like C or S sometimes can make the same sound. So Morgan Mouse munched marshmallows merrily. You notice the M here on Morgan Mouse munched marshmallows merrily. When an author is using alliteration, though, it's on purpose. So he could have said Morgan Mouse ate marshmallows happily, but you notice they put munched marshmallows merrily. So it was on purpose. There was a definite intention to use alliteration or the beginning sounds of the same one. All right, our next one is allusion. To make a reference to something else that most people in that culture would be aware of. So that's why you want to read a lot and have a good content knowledge, because authors will make allusion to something and they're expecting you to understand that connection. And if you don't know about it, you're going to miss part of the story. So sweets are her Achilles heel. This comes from Greek mythology. Achilles was a warrior that was super duper strong, could not be killed. The only weak spot he had was his back of his heel, which is where his mom dipped him into the river Styx. And that was the only place that he could be killed. And he was killed by being shot in the arrow in his back of his heel. So your Achilles heel becomes your weak spot. Okay. So if you don't understand Greek mythology, you would not understand the sentence. So that's why it's important to understand content knowledge, to read as much as you can, to get as much knowledge as you can, so that you can fully understand what the author is trying to tell you. Next is hyperbole. Say hyperbole. Okay, hyperbole is to describe something in an extremely exaggerated way. For example, I might say, yesterday at Disney, I walked 1,000,000 miles. Well, there's no way a person can walk 1,000,000 miles, but it would let you know that I walked a lot of steps at Disney, which I tend to do. So we waited in line all day. So that's an exaggeration. You may have waited in line a few hours, but it felt like all day. So that's what the author is doing, is trying to make you understand how the person or the character was feeling. Idiom, phrases that mean something different than what they say. So, for example, in the culture, you would understand this idiom and what it's saying, but someone outside the culture that was just learning how to speak English would have no idea what you're talking about. For example, you could say, I'm in a pickle. Well, that comes from baseball, and baseball is very popular in American culture. So being in a pickle is being picked off between first and second base. Like the runner is there, and he's going to probably get out because they've got him caught between that, and that's called a pickle. But if you don't know anything about baseball, this phrase would mean nothing to you. You would sound like an idiot if you heard someone say it, because you're like, you're not in a pickle. What are you talking about? So that's what an idiom. It's a phrase that means something different than what is actually said, and people in that culture would understand it. It's raining cats and dogs. So if you took this literally, like I said earlier, cats and dogs would be falling out of the sky, but that's not what it means. It just means it's raining really, really hard. And this is an idiom. So it doesn't mean what it says, but we understand what it means. Metaphor. A metaphor compares two unlike things using words is or are. Okay. So a metaphor is different than a simile. Simile uses like or as. A metaphor does not. It says that they are. Okay. So her smile is the sun. It's comparing her smile to the sun without using like or as, but saying it is it. Her eyes were diamonds. Okay, so that's a different tense of the word, but you can see it's comparing your eyes to diamonds. It's saying it is that, two unlike things. Next is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a very long word, and it just means the word that makes the sound noise that it makes. Boom, bang, rough, snap, crackle, pop. These are all examples of onomatopoeia. The dog knocked over the vase with a crash. So crash would be a sound, and it makes the sound that the word is. So that is what onomatopoeia is. Next, we have personification. I do love personification. Personification is to describe a non-human thing with human qualities. So it's to make something that's not human, and it could be an animal or an inanimate object, but saying the trees danced a ballet in the wind. Well, trees can't dance ballet. they can sway, which kind of looks like dancing, but you're making it sound like they are human and giving them human traits, okay? The leaves danced in the wind. Sorry, I probably should have used another one, okay? So the army ants were marching in line to the drums. Well, army ants do march in a line, but not to the drum. So that would make it personification because it's making it sound like a human being. Proverbs are short statements expressing a belief or a truth. The early bird catches the worm, okay? A lot of times these can kind of be put into theme, and we'll talk about theme later. Simile, this is probably the most used type of figurative language. You're going to see so many similes. So it compares two unlike things. Now, and this one doesn't say unlike, but it compares two unlike things using the words like or as. He is as fast as a rabbit. You look like a monkey hanging from the tree. Okay, so it's comparing two unlike things. But if I compared two students, John is as fast as Robert. That is not a simile because those are two like things. They're two boys, okay? They're two humans. So it has to compare two unlike things. The clouds are like cotton candy floating in the sky. So it's comparing clouds to cotton candy, okay? So it has to be two unlike things. That is basically our figurative language that we will be using all year. So make sure that you put this to memory, that you start looking for these in all of the things that you're reading because you're going to start seeing them everywhere. And we'll be working on this all this year, and you'll be working on this through college. Have a great day.